Mama. Hi, Precious. How are you?
Hello, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good, thank you. Yo, it's so weird, like hearing everyone's. Oh, I see you. You guys are
Yes.
so brave. Oh my goodness.
Hey,
It's so real.
Precious. Be brave. Show Reena that we actually activate our fear here. We are not afraid to be seen.
We look so crusty, but it's okay.
Hey, listen, Han, speak for yourself.
Hey, Candice.
Hey,
Hi, Candice.
Reena, are you feeling the peer pressure yet to switch
I
your
am. I'm
on?
switching it on, but like it's like that. Let me just switch off the light, and maybe it'll look better.
We're getting a tour of your room. Love this. I said yesterday that I love doing this because it's like we're on ENCA or on the news and we're being interviewed about COVID or something.
Ish.
Feels very relevant. But we don't say the C word here. We don't. There's no pandemic.
Yeah.
Pandemic in the square.
We call her by her nickname, Coco V.
Coco V.
Coco V. Okay, so we'll just wait for Hawa maybe another 2 minutes. If not, we'll start so long, and then when she can connect, she will find us where we are at. Don't be worried if you don't see people joining right now, because this will be Reena's going to be the thumbnail on YouTube. So some people are relying on, maybe they're busy doing something now and then they're going to watch it later. But best believe people are actually really interested in these interviews. And I've been getting questions left, right, and center today. Someone even asked, like, please send us the program. We want to know everything so we can pencil it in. I'm like, what in the world? I think in my mind, I was like, we're just doing it, we're just doing it to chat.
Yeah.
To jump on people. But no, people really want to know and people really want to hear from y'all. So don't worry if we are the only participants. If we get to change one life, that is one changed life.
Amen.
Amen.
Can I get an amen up in here? Guys, I've been watching Drag Race and it is problematic for me. Like, I think I've watched everything that there is. Everything.
What is lockdown doing?
RuPaul's anything. I have seen it. All right, I think start.
Should I ask Hawa quickly?
Huh?
Should I message Hawa and ask her?
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, she posted in the group saying that she has connectivity problems.
She hasn't said anything after that. Okay, so she's still trying to sort that out. Okay, not a problem. I'm just trying to think. I think for the fans' sake, I'm gonna fans, we do this for Africa. I'll let you all introduce yourselves. You can just say your name, your surname, and the residence or PSO that you're in. We're all from Tygerberg campus, so we're all awesome people, obviously. Cool. So how do I say who should go without giving away your intro? Reena, you can start us off.
Hi everyone, my name is Reena Panicker. I'm from Lucy Johnson.
Hi Reena.
Hello.
Precious, would you like to go next?
Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Precious Ndebele from Europe.
Hi Precious. Candice.
Hello.
Hi everyone. My name is Candice Van Vuuren and I'm from Hippocrates.
Hey Candice.
Hi Candice.
Okay, awesome. And then we're just waiting for Hawa, who hopefully will be able to join us soon. She's just having some connectivity issues. But so long, we're going to get started. So, if you are watching this at home, we are doing this interview. We are interviewing four lovely Mentuts, academic Mentuts from Tygerberg campus. This is the point of the interview is to give insight to any students who are interested in becoming Mentuts themselves and would like to know more about how they can go about doing that and what it looks like to be a Mentut. So if you're interested in applying to be a Mentut, you're at the right place. All right. Having said that, I think it is perfect that the first question should be, how does one apply to be a Mentut? So I'll ask each of our panelists. I don't know if it is different from community to community. You guys can clarify that for us. Yeah, just to give some insight to people. So, Candice, since you spoke last, I think you should start us off here. How does one apply?
Okay, so the application process it's a pretty straightforward process, must say. So normally you should actually around about this time, I think they've released the new applications. So you should like get an email. So they've already sent them out, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And so be aware of your emails. And then it basically starts off with a form that you need to fill in. So on top of the form, it's just basically the requirements, the criteria of what you need to become a Mentut.
Yeah.
So it's basically things like your average that you need to maintain, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then it starts off with like the form first and just filling in all the questions, which are pretty straightforward questions, but also very important questions, because these questions really do make you think why you want to be a Mentut. I mean, that's like one of the first questions they ask you, and also makes you think about the whole process of being Mentut, because they ask you questions like, how would you structure your Mentut session, for example? And I think it's very important as you start to see what it's actually like to be a Mentut through the questions, and really know, what you want to achieve when you do become a Mentut.
Yeah, so good. Thank you. And just to highlight something, everything you said was gold. But just to highlight that you mentioned, keep up with your emails. So many opportunities are missed. Students miss so many opportunities because they do not keep up with their emails. I did see the email that was sent out for Mentuts already. So go out there and grab that application, do the things. Thank you so much for that insight. Precious, is there anything you want to add?
Not much, actually. Candice has said it all, but I think just another thing is that our application was online, so you didn't have to fill in like a hard copy. You didn't have to like fill in any like forms, written forms. So it was quite easy. You could just type it on your phone and submit it. So that was the nice process.
Nice.
The fact that it was so short and online as well.
This was before lockdown, so they were ready.
Yes, they were ready for this.
They knew something we didn't. Who are these people?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And then Reena, is there anything different that you experienced, or was it the same for you?
No, exactly the same. Shame they really covered all the bases.
All the bases, beautiful. So essentially, once you get that email and you fill out that form, you're good to go. Is there an interview at any point in time?
No.
Yes.
Nothing.
So it's different from department to department. I know for physiotherapy, they don't have interviews. I think their heads of departments choose. But for some of the other faculties, I can't talk for all of them, but I know for medicine and nursing, they have interviews. And it happens when the new head Mentut is chosen. So the old head Mentut from the previous year, as well as a newly elected head Mentut, they'll form like a panel, and then they'll ask questions. And these questions are based on standardized questions. Actually, last year, the student coordinator created a form so that all interviews can be standardized. And this includes like true and false questions, why you chose to be a Mentut, and also the questions that were in the application process can be posed to the applicant.
Okay.
So yeah, that's basically it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. I just want to welcome Hawa. Hawa's here.
Woo!
Hawa's
Hi,
from
Hawa.
Wisconsin. Hey there. Welcome.
Hey,
You made it.
sorry, I was having some technical difficulties.
Not a problem. I think all of 2020
Yeah,
is just been a technical difficulty, so can relate. Don't worry. Also, Maki, I think that's you out there spying on us. We see you. Welcome. Thank you for coming through. So Howard, we had just spoken about the application process for becoming a Mentut, and our lovely panelists were just giving us some insight on the form that you have to fill out and that process. And then I just asked if at any point in time you get interviewed, and that's the question that Reena was answering. So I don't know, I don't think there's anything you want to add in terms of that, because I assume you also had to fill out the form to apply.
Yes, that is correct.
Greatness. So with that having been said now, say a student has applied and, or maybe they've received the email and they're opening this form and they're thinking about applying. And in the back of their head, they're going, okay, I see the requirements that are written on the form. And sure, maybe they meet all those requirements, but in the back of their head, there's this silly thought of, I'm pretty sure I need to know more than what is on this form. I know for me, I make the example of when I was running for SRC, my biggest concern was my ability to tabulate the difference between capitalism and communism. And it is so ridiculous when you think about what the SRC does. It's like, Wama, are you serious? Like that was in the back of your head. So I'm sure there's someone somewhere going, yeah, they say I need this average and this, but I'm pretty sure there's more that I need to know or more resources I need to have before stepping into this. Can you guys just elaborate or give some insight on what information you definitely need to know before coming into being a Mentut, or what information maybe you thought you definitely had to know that it turned out that you could learn it as you went along, or you actually just never needed to know? Like, do I need to know the names of all the lecturers? I don't know. So if you could just give us some insight on information you definitely must have or be able to acquire for the role. Howard, since you just joined us, I think you can start us off there.
Thank you. So I'd say it's not only about that 65% average that you need to have as a prerequisite to be a Mentut. It's more of a tutor, but also a mentor role. So like when I applied in first year, like I was so inspired by my Mentut. I was like, okay, you know what? I also want to do this job. I want to help them out. So when they do ask you stuff, they like ask you with regards to what will you do if your mentee has this problem? And you should be able to know the first thing at the back of your head. If your mentee is struggling with academics, you'd say, okay, go to the student support people, Khairunisa, for example, and apply for a subject-specific tutor. And then the next thing you do is if they're having anxiety or mental health issues, you should know that CSCD is your first line of referral. And if your mentee just feels overwhelmed, you can also like step into the role of personal, a personal tutor. So I filled that position. In first year, I walked with my mentees throughout the whole year. I was there for them every single week. I would have my meetings with them. It would be in the most awkward of places, like if we got stuck in the lecture hall, then we to get kicked out, then we go outside by the education building. I would always ask, how are you feeling today? How is your mental health? So it's those type of things, you know, it's not just, okay, here's the notes, I'm dumping it upon you, but it's more like building that one-on-one relationship where they feel comfortable to trust you with helping them out.
So good. And I think you touch on something that a lot of people forget when they hear Mentut, the fact that you are a tutor mentor. So you can actually also step into that mentoring role in the life of your mentee. You don't just need to supply academic resources and then goodbye, take this USB, you can leave. But also, I mean, if that's the only thing your mentee wants from you, that is a way of supporting them as well. But you're more than welcome to use the position as an opportunity to mentor someone beyond academics. So good. Precious, would you like to add? Because your video just popped up here.
I think Hawa covered most of it. The fact that like as a Mentut, you should be very flexible. Like you should be able to like switch roles, like Hawa was saying. If your mentee needs like more personal support, to an extent that you can help, I think you should. But if it's like beyond your control, if your mentee would need like a psychologist, then you should also know like the refer channels that you should like refer your mentee to. So yeah.
Really, really good. And I like that you're echoing with what Hawa was mentioning in terms of referral as well. Because I know once you enter that mentoring role, it's so easy to blur the line and think, if my mentee is going through this, then even me, I will not sleep just to make sure that I am there every step of the way. Then you end up being a lecturer, a psychologist, a psychiatrist, everything. You drive them to McDonald's, you bring them back, you drive them here, you get an Uber for them if you must. Just knowing where to draw that line, knowing your personal limit and what your role in your mentee's life as a mentor is, and when you need to refer and who to refer to. That's so, so important. Thank you for that. Candice, would you like to add?
I think for me, when I first thought Mentut, I think the main thing I thought that you needed was you needed to know all your knowledge from like the previous year, obviously, to like tutor. So I think that was the big kind of barrier that I needed to cross. But then throughout tutoring, I realized that yes, you did need to know, but like it doesn't really leave you like the information that you found like in your first year, for example. So yeah, and also just to like as well comment on like the referral, I must say that they do give you a workshop. So even if you feel like you don't know them at the moment, you do go through like so many workshops where you get to learn, and they give you all the numbers and everything. So you do go through that to get that information. But yeah, I think that was just my main thing, was just, do I have enough academic knowledge to transfer it over? And I think it's also just, you learn with your mentees. I mean, you've already done the work, but as you tutor them, you actually do remember what you did, and you remember the tips, and just it just takes like a few minutes just to quickly go through your notes of the previous year, just refresh your memory, and then it becomes much more easier. So yeah, it does come back to you, so don't need to worry about having extended knowledge of everything.
Does anyone? So good. Yeah. And I love that you mentioned there is honestly no shame in, if your mentees bring a topic that you don't remember that well, brushing up on it so that you can help them with it. There is no shame in that, and it is so fine. I mean, doctors who are qualified, not just doctors, any specialist who is qualified, there is always going to be at least one thing that someone presents to them that is supposed to be within the scope of their knowledge, that they'll go, ooh, I need to read up on that. Okay, but I'll come back to you and I will have the facts. There's no shame in going, okay, thank you for bringing this ECG to my attention. I'm going to go listen to an hour of YouTube videos and then I'll come back. So you honestly do not need to know everything. Just having that willing heart and personality to be able to go back and then teach it or provide information to someone in a way that they can absorb better. So, so good. And Reena, anything you want to add to this question?
I think just as a final note on this question, I would like to add that the beginning is always the hardest. It's a new thing you're going to try. So if you're going to do this and you get chosen as a Mentut, don't get discouraged right in the beginning. The beginning is always going to be the hardest. By getting past that point and figuring out where you stand with it and like how you're going to plan around it. Remember, people can share difficulties with you, but only you will be able to go through the difficulties you go through being in a position. So I think if you're discouraged in the beginning, definitely take a step back and say, this is the first time I'm doing something like this. Let me give myself a chance, just like my mentees are getting a chance from me. And yeah, just hang on to that passion that made you apply for it. Yeah.
Sure. Preach. So good. That is so good. And I think as people who step into leadership, because being a Mentut is leadership, sometimes we are so hard on ourselves because you expect yourself all of a sudden. You've never done it before, but because you ticked a box and said you want to, day one, you must know everything about mentutting. So being patient with yourself as well and being honest with yourself, and also acknowledging that you're working in a team of mentuts. Like now, it's not just one mentut that we're speaking to. There's so many other people who might have resources and tips for you. So love it, love it, love it. All right, so my next question then is, I have now applied and I have the resources, or at least I believe I have the resources I need for my mentees. But I am concerned that it might take a certain type of personality to actually be a mentor, to gather a group of people and present something to them or engage with a group of students who are looking up to you for some knowledge. Have you found that there is a certain type of personality that completely doesn't work when you're mentored? Like, is being an introvert, that's it, like goodbye, sorry, apply another year when you change your personality? Or do you find that it really, that's not what it's about? It doesn't matter, you can make it work. And if any of you struggle personally, maybe with the personality type you have, what adjustments or what what helping tools, not going to use aids, what helping tools did you use to try and accommodate for what you felt made it a bit more stressful because of the type of personality that you have? Candice, would you like to take this on?
I don't think there's necessarily like a set personality. There's really not a one size fits all scenario with this, especially because you are dealing with, I mean, when you get your mentut group, your mentees, you are dealing with a diverse group of people. And within those 5-6 people, they have different personalities themselves. So I think the real key here is just knowing yourself and knowing what you are able, like what your strengths are and your weaknesses, and just knowing how to push yourself a little bit. If, for example, you're more introverted, and just knowing that, okay, here I need to try and engage a little bit more and push myself to be more excited, or show more that enthusiasm, I guess, for this. But also I think it's also just knowing your mentees as well, because you get like the introverted and extroverted. So if you're more introverted, you'll probably more relate to your introverted ones. But at the same time, you need to remember that my extroverted mentees will need more from me to be able to understand, and vice versa. So I think it's just really being like flexible in just knowing when to alter a little bit and just adjusting.
And I love how that echoes what Precious was saying earlier, just the point of flexibility as a mentut. Love it, love it. You know, they always say something is true if different people say it, and those people were not together, like they were huddled together to discuss it, but different people in different places. Well, I think you guys are in different places, looking at your backgrounds. People echo something, then you know for a fact that it's true. So I really do love that. Thank you. Definitely knowing yourself best, and then knowing your mentees best and what your mentees need from you, and also where you can push yourself. Gold. That is solid gold. Hawa, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, echoing what Candice said, like I remember in first year, I was the extrovert in the entire group. All of my mentees were introverts. I was like, oh, what do I do now? Took over. So, like, I was explaining how first year runs and everything. And then I think the thing was, I literally got so caught up in the moment that I forgot one of my mentees' names. And I mistakenly called it Jennifer. And I was like, and she's like, my name's not Jennifer. And I'm like, what's your name again? And that's when I realized that, you know, you shouldn't get too, like, excited, overexcited. So that's what I learned from that day onwards. I was extremely relieved when I went back to my room and rest, because I was like, I can't believe I just messed up my first session. So it's all
one job.
So being a perfectionist, like, I wanted everything to be like ticked off the box, like have this done, have that done. But I realized that sometimes your personality type can also get the better of you. So I just became more spontaneous with the way I ran my sessions. So I would let my introverts know that if they didn't want to contribute in the group, then you can come to me. Like, two of my mentees were from France. So that was great because I could involve them and ask them how they're doing. But for my Oslo mentees, I just told them, if you don't feel comfortable, you can always message me over WhatsApp. I have an open WhatsApp policy because open door doesn't apply. And yeah, that's it.
You had to. You could not resist.
These lockdown jokes.
Compromise, because, like, I thought I was going to have a whole lot of extroverts, but I think one of my things that I learned throughout last year about learning to meet that middle, like the halfway point. So in a way, I was able to help them out, and they were really appreciative, even though they didn't say much. I knew from their actions they were.
Yeah. So good. And you touch on something which is just a great life lesson for anyone. Doesn't matter what you're doing. Is it's okay to prepare, and it's okay to have expectations, but don't then become inflexible because you're prepared and you have expectations. It's all right to be prepared. Preparing is good, but you do not want to step into a situation and go, it doesn't matter what happens. This is the script I've given, and this is what I'm going to say. I'm going to say my name, they're going to say hi, and they're going to clap, and if they don't, I'm leaving. Like, yes, prepared, but to be open for things to go very weird, for network to cut during an interview. And it's not the end of the world just because maybe you botched your first session or you forgot someone's name. Just write it down on your hand for future. Just do not forget. And every time you message that person on WhatsApp, just be like, hey, Jennifer. So, Jennifer, how are you, Jennifer? Okay, I'm so glad, Jennifer. Bye, Jennifer. Just so that they can forget that there was that one time you actually forgot. Yeah, and sometimes it's just... She was?
She was so chilled about. She's like, if you want me to be Jennifer, I'll be Jennifer for you, but thank you.
True, because sometimes it's such a big deal to us because we put all this like pressure on ourselves. And that time our mentees are just like, it's okay. I love you anyway. Okay, so Zoom thinks that it's getting the better of me, but it doesn't know how prepared it is. So we have 9 minutes, which is great. I'll put in the chat the link to the continuation of this. So maybe just copy paste that link and the ID and the passcode so long, because once the time runs out on this, I'll start the meeting again there. So don't worry, Zoom will not win. All right, so in these 9 minutes, still time. I would then like to ask, how does being a Mentut affect your personal schedule now as a Mentut? What does the typical day or the typical week of a Mentut look like? Be it having sessions with your mentees or whatever it is that you face. How have you felt that taking on the role has influenced your schedule? And I think a big question, especially at Tygerberg, is always, how does it influence your academics? So I'm not asking anyone to now say I was a straight A student and then I was in the low C. No. But just if you had to adapt something, the way you study, the time you study, just what did being a mentor do to your actual schedule? Precious, do you have any tips for us there?
So I usually used to just I still just keep my meetings on the designated, that faculty hour on Wednesdays. I think it's at 12, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so I just keep it on that day so that everyone knows that, okay, on Wednesday we have mentee meetings, and it doesn't really disrupt your schedule, but if not, then I try to be as flexible as possible. And if I have like my own thing, or even if my mentees have their like own meetings, or because they used to have like group meetings, we would just reschedule to a Wednesday or Friday, but usually just used to be on a Wednesday or at 12. So it didn't really affect my schedule that much and my academics. I think the more you have to do, the more you get done. So it would just really propelled me, because I wouldn't want to be that mentor that doesn't do her own work. Meanwhile,
I'm writing that down. The more you have to do, the more you get done. Gosh.
Yeah. So yeah, I think just like when they come with their like overwhelming stories, like this work is a lot and stuff, I can give that advice. And at the same time, when I give the advice, I have to take that own advice for myself. So it really just propelled me, and it somehow motivated me to want to do better, because I'm giving out all this advice. So I actually have to use it somewhere in my life, even if it's just referring my mentee to like, just watch a video, or maybe take a break, or maybe use colors to study. I somehow actually thought, oh, why don't you do that actually? And then I go back, and then I somehow implement what I've said, and you actually get to learn things that, well, you know it, but because you've said it, you just like relearn it in a way. So I think that's like quite a good booster for academics as well.
Yeah, that's really beautiful, because it's showing that being a mentor is not just about giving to your mentees and giving and giving and giving. There's actually a lot that you can receive as well from the process and grow from it. That's beautiful. Wow. As I apply for mentors. Reena, is there anything you want to add here?
I think with some of the specifics, how first year works is that every Wednesday there are meetings in the allocated faculty time, but in second year, for most of the faculties, they don't allocate that time. So especially for second year mentats, it's important to have a communication line with your mentees, because obviously your timetable will differ from your mentee's timetable, and that communication will allow you to figure out a time that's open for both of y'all. So I think just with second years it's a bit different, because that like faculty doesn't actually allocate a time, but I think it's just to do with communication and how you guys like to meet up.
Great, that is gold. That is solid gold. So it's something that I think it was in my second year or third year that we were, I don't know when I was mentor. Wow, it feels like years. Pre-lockdown, when I was mentor, we had the conversation with other mentors about how it kind of feels like you get this amazing mentor and mentor in first year, and then after that it's like all the best, do all your growing in first year, and then maybe you might need a mentor, maybe you need a mentor after that, and then it's like, find it, squeeze it into your own schedule, we're done, we're out of the picture after first year. So I think that's also a really good point of the difference between first year mentees and having a mentee that isn't in first year anymore. Just juggling that. But I think the main thing here is that it doesn't take away from your schedule as much as someone might be stressed about it taking away. And what's beautiful about being a mentor is the time you spend with your mentees is actually time that you're also learning, you're revising something. So it's not wasted time where you're just speaking with people and then you're like, okay, bye, now let me go study. All right, so we have 3 minutes on this, but I don't want to ask the next question and then while someone is speaking, they get cut off. So I'm going to switch us over to the next meeting venue. Love this. So we're going to travel to, I don't know, we're going to go to China now and have there. So join us on our world tour. So I'm just going to end it here. I hope everyone copied the link because it's going to disappear when this ends. All right. See you in like 2 seconds in China.